What we do is work with the client to determine what their individual goals and objectives are, and then design a strategy often centred around superannuation to help them achieve those goals. What they're looking to achieve is quite often steady, reliable income. So they might be approaching retirement or in retirement. And so they've built up their asset base over many, many years of work. They want to make sure the asset base is going to be preserved and go the distance, but they also want to make sure that they can draw an income stream from that asset base. We look after that for the client. We put a range of different strategies in place to preserve the asset base and ultimately achieve their goals and objectives. Most people these days, as they're starting out in the workforce, will have a superannuation fund, and quite often that's going to just be working away for them behind the scenes. But sooner or later you get to a point where you think, well, I've got a substantial sum here, it's time to get some professional advice and really tailor the strategy towards the individual rather than just tick a box and hope for the best. Superannuation truly is a long-term investment. Most people might start their careers in their 20s, 30s, and they won't access their superannuation until they're 60, if not mid-60s. The earlier you start, the better it is because you get to benefit from the power of compounding earnings. So if you're really thinking about your super at an early age, maybe even adding a little bit extra over and above what your employer's putting in, then you'll really see the compounding effect grow over a 30-year period, which will result in a larger superannuation balance and ultimately a more flexible and more freedom in retirement. You have quite a bit of flexibility in the way that you can make contributions. You can add money to your superannuation fund from your pre-tax salary, and you can currently put $27,500 per year into your superannuation fund. Remembering, of course, that if you're working, your employer is going to be putting 10% of your wage into superannuation, and that will count towards the $27,500 cap. You can also put up to $110,000 a year, or even bring forward 3 years worth of contributions and put $330,000 in one hit, and that's from an after-tax source. So those contributions, there's no tax payable when you put it in, and when you eventually draw that money out in retirement, it's tax-free. The benefit of doing that means that you're maximising your superannuation entitlement for retirement. Generally, it aligns with life stages. What we find is as people start establishing themselves in their career, they're serious about their job, they're getting a steady income, so they're starting to see their superannuation balance start to grow. It's a great time to look in and say, well, I've got my superannuation here, what's the best next step for me? It may not be that a self-managed super fund's appropriate from day one, but generally speaking, over time, as the balance grows, you can really start to get some economies of scale with your superannuation, which could make a self-managed super fund appropriate. And then you get to select your individual investments, generate the income that you might be looking to achieve. A self-managed super fund gives an individual, or a couple as the case may be, a lot of control and flexibility over their superannuation asset base. So it's not necessarily your hands-off, set and forget, tick a box where you might go into the growth or the balanced or the conservative option. It's coming up with a bespoke investment strategy, selecting investments that are appropriate for the client's goals and objectives. They might have an income focus, so we can tailor a strategy predominantly to produce income in retirement. They might have a growth focus where they want to grow their asset base over a longer period of time, or something in between. And with a self-managed super fund, you can really drill down and get the right kind of spread of investments for the client.